Hi there, just me checking in. So, just to give you some context, the video you're about to watch was about, nearly about 2 months ago it was recorded. So, a lot has happened since then. Basically, what the video is about is explaining that um, I didn't apply for masters next year, and there is a few reasons why. Um, I'm not burnt out or anything, so it's nothing like that. Everything's have actually been going really well. Um, since that video, actually, I've submitted my thesis, received the results, and it went really well, and I'm really proud of it and really happy with the outcome. So yeah, so really this video is the really what I'm doing here is just providing some context to say um, it's a little bit old. Some stuff has happened since then, but yeah, I hope you enjoy. Thanks everyone. My name is Brooke. I am a fourth year psychology student who completed honours part-time and online. I am regional and I am in the last few weeks of my thesis. Not that I'm counting. I haven't submitted my thesis yet. We've got a couple weeks and a couple thousand words and revisions, and there's lots of work to go, but it's going well. Things are good. I guess the purpose of this video is to talk about the fact that I have done something that I couldn't have, I guess, foreseen a year ago, maybe even 6 months ago. um, I have not applied for masters next year, which is a really weird decision for me personally. It's actually not uncommon for people to not, it's not uncommon for people to pause after the fourth year and either have a break or get more work experience. There's a whole range of different reasons why people stop and or take a pause. I am not burnt out, which is great. I have a lot of really helpful work and volunteer experience, which will help me, I guess, sort of transition into masters, which is also really great. So, I guess the question is if I'm ready to go into masters in a few different ways, why haven't I? Well, the very short answer is that the program I would like to do is not yet available. They anticipate it will be available in 2027. Was hoping for 2026, but it looks like it won't be available until 2027. And there's a lot, so much that has gone into this decision. So if you'd like to sort of hear my reasoning behind it, feel free to keep listening. But if you just wanted to know the reason why, that's it. That is the main reason why. But to sort of walk you back a little bit, so I have been keen to transition through to masters for a long time. The masters stage has been the stage I'm the most excited for. So my decision to, I guess, put it off was intentional and also difficult. I'm really keen to progress through to the next stage, but I also didn't just want to rush it for the sake of doing it. So some context behind that, right? When I first started my degree, I was like, I want to be a psychologist. However you make that happen, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. As I progressed through the degree, I then first was introduced to the breadth of psychology. I didn't even know that there were, 9 different areas of practice endorsement that you could do. Then I learned a bit more about them and very quickly figured out some I didn't want to do. And likewise, when I first learnt about clinical psychology, people couldn't tell me the difference, and the only difference I could figure out was that it got a higher Medicare rebate and it was highly competitive, and that wasn't very compelling for me to want to pursue something. So I wrote clinical psychology off early in my journey. And so I was sort of like, yeah, I'm gonna just be a general psychologist because I want to be a psychologist. I don't need to specialize in any way, shape, or form. Turns out, with some further experience in, I guess, exposure to other types of psychology, I've come to understand that clinical psychology and clinical neuropsychology are two areas that I'm really keen on, which then presented the dilemma of, oh, clinical psychology is highly competitive. Do I really want to pursue this? Because I wrote it off earlier because I'm like, well, I don't know what the difference is. I actually then learnt what, some of the differences were in terms of not only what people study, but what the work life of somebody who is a general psychologist versus clinical psychologist might look like. I actually even worked in a practice that had general psychologists, clinical psychologists, and other types of psychologists as well. So I actually got to sort of see and I'm not going to go into the sort of the deals of that because there will be psychologists who do clinically oriented work and there will be clinical psychologists who do general psychologist oriented work. There is absolutely overlap, so um, I'm not going to jump into that. It's got absolutely nothing to do with that. However, I was very, very fortunate enough to, for my honours year, do a clinical neuropsychology based project. And that has just really, really, really grown my love and interest in this area. It helps that I have an incredible supervisor who was not only extremely experienced, who was not only really helpful, who's not only really clever, but is also inspiring and really helped me build confidence in my own skills as a researcher, which is something I never thought researcher was an option for me for many different reasons. But my confidence and competence in research has grown significantly. There's still more work to go, but suffice to say, I've been fortunate enough to sort of get a real good view into what neuropsychology is and how it works. And so for me, strip all of that away, what I'm passionate about is where biology and psychology meet. And sort of the applied nature of how psychology as a science can be utilized in not just improving people's mental health, but also like all different aspects socially, emotionally, on and on and on, right? Which is something that is kind of unique to clinical neuropsychology, but also I do like understanding and supporting complex mental ill health, which is a component of clinical psychology as well. So this last year has been a real battle of, okay, so I've decided I sort of, like in terms of research and my interests in where I sort of envision myself working in the future, all of that really does seem to appear aligned with clinical psychology and clinical neuropsychology. So this last year has been really about determining which one. Anyway, the next layer of that is I am regional. And anything other than general psychology aligned programs are based somewhere else. The only program at this point in time that I have access to would, when I complete it, make me eligible to be a general psychologist, which is not a problem. I would happily be a general psychologist, but if I'm truly honest with myself and where I think I would be most happy, it would most likely be either a clinical neuropsychologist or working as a clinical psychologist in terms of the type of work I would be doing, the type of workplace I see myself, so on and so forth. So my dilemma then shifted to, okay, well, if I do want to pursue either of these things, I would have to move to a specific city. This one being Melbourne. It is the closest city that I would have access to. But the reality of the situation is, I do not have the resources to relocate. It's not just me, it's my dog, it's my husband. Um, this is the first, we live in our first home. Um, it would involve selling our home or renting it out. Realistically, we couldn't afford to rent. So many decisions. But the reality is, if I was going to pursue them, it would involve relocating, which is not really something that we can afford. Very fortunately, I had a family member who was extremely supportive of my academic journey offer to allow us to live with them for the duration of a master's program should I decide to engage with that, which was incredible, generous, and I'm very fortunate. So what that did was what that did was really make the reality of what master's programs I could pursue widen. So then that made me look at Melbourne and say, okay, so what clinical psychology and what clinical neuropsychology programs are available? In terms of clinical neuropsychology, there was one that I could pursue that wasn't related to a PhD, and that was at University of Melbourne. It's a very highly prestigious university, and their program looks fantastic. But what that means is I would be applying for a program that is not only at a prestigious university and not only in a bit of more of a niche area, so therefore more competitive. It would mean that I am doing this program and living in Melbourne for 2 years. So that's what that would entail, provided I even get in. On the flip side of that, there's a lot more clinical psychology programs available in Melbourne that I could have applied for, and it was a matter of going through the programs and determining what would be the best suit and what I could reasonably access. Because just because I am living in a particular part of Melbourne doesn't mean I still could access all of the programs. And again, likewise, just because I want to do clinical psychology does not mean that I'm going to get into clinical psychology. So that was another layer of the decision-making process. So I had some programs in mind that I wanted to apply for and was mentally preparing to do alongside this honours thesis project. In the midst of this, it came to my attention that the university that I am currently at, and I actually really enjoy the institution that I'm at, they're going to be offering a clinical neuropsychology program. And I, got more information about that, and what that would involve is me not having to relocate to Melbourne for 2 years. It might involve a period of relocation for like placement or like doing an intensive. I'm not fully around the details just yet, but being able to save up for something like that, especially with a year off, is way more plausible than having to sell my home, live with a family member and impact their space, obstruct their life for 2 years. And yeah, so anyway, there's been a lot of thoughts, a lot of backs and forths. And the decision I came up with the consult of people around me was that waiting for this program would be the best idea. And again, this doesn't mean I'm guaranteed entry into this program. It's as simple as that. But I have decided, it's worth the wait. And there's a lot that I can do in this year off. It is terrifying to me to sort of know that I'm going to finish this honours year and then have a significant period of time off. Like, for me, a year is a significant period of time. And for someone who was so ready to go into masters, it feels a bit overwhelming, but I also see this very much as an opportunity. I want to work on publishing the research that a supervisor and I worked on. Hopefully, there might be some opportunities to work with my supervisor on some other things as well. Hopefully, I have already been engaging in some epilepsy related research outside in my own personal side of things. So hopefully, I will be engaging with that. I still volunteer. The jobs I have that are tied to being a student at my university have said they are actually really open to keeping me employed in this time off. So I'm going to try to keep that work as well. But I am going to be looking for more opportunities. So I'm going to sort of lean on my network, and sort of see what opportunities arise, because I'm sure there will be. But what that means is I just sort of live in this unknown and sort of float, which I guess, being a psychology student, you sort of learn to be adaptable and flexible and roll with the punches. So I am really excited as to what this next year might entail. I'm really excited to get this thesis done, which I should be working on right now, and I'll be moving to immediately upon finishing this. And what that also means is that there will be time for me to make more videos in terms of helping people, I guess, see what the psychology journey in Australia looks like, or maybe, yeah. I'll spend some time looking at some videos, creating some information or videos that might be helpful for others, because that's really the purpose of what I'm doing here. So yeah, long story long. The short version is I haven't applied for masters. It is intentional. I still can't wait for masters. I'm not burnt out, but a lot of people do get to this point and are, often because they are either doing honors full-time, or they're doing full-time work, part-time honors, and either way, even without all of those things, honors as like part-time doing the thesis has been challenging. Certainly for me, there has been periods of lulls, but it's still been very effortful. And yeah, so anyway, that's me, that's where I'm at, and I really look forward to, I guess, sort of tapping in this time next year. I'll be in the thick of applying and hopefully getting some interviews and seeing how that goes. Who knows what will change between now and then. Hopefully the program is available, but if not, maybe I'll have enough money saved up to maybe relocate and do a program, or maybe a new option will come up. Who knows? Either way, I hope you're doing well, and thanks for watching. So take care.